G'day guys, how you going? Hope you're all having a fantastic evening. Tonight I'm going to be doing another movie review. Now this isn't a horror film, but it's a very weird film and it's very, very disturbing. So if you like your weird, disturbing films, and hopefully this review will bring enough attention to it and make you want to go and see it if you haven't done so already. So it's an Australian film, so you all know how crazy I am about Australian films. So every Australian film that I get the opportunity to see is always cool. I don't know why I haven't seen this one earlier. This is regarded as an Australian classic or a cult classic. So for unfortunate reasons, I just didn't come across it, but finally got the chance to see it on the weekend. And yeah, I'll be sharing my views on it. It's a 1993 film, so it's not a terribly old film, but it's not a recent film at the same time. Directed by Rolf de Heer, and this movie is called Bad Boy Bubby. Now, some of you in the horror community have this film in your collection, so yes, hopefully you still find this review interesting enough. So the story is around Bubby, who's the guy on the front here. Now, we don't really get to know his proper name. I think it might be Bubby, but the name Bad Boy Bubby is a nickname that his mother gave him. Now, Bubby, he's a 30-year-old man and he's never been outside his two-room apartment flat. It's really, really run down, and he lives in it with his mother. And I'm not sure if the mother is employed, but the apartment that they live in is really run down. It's awful, it's disgusting, and it looks like they're renting this apartment for free because it's just so run down. So the start of the film, Bubby is in this apartment by himself, and his mother forbids Bubby to leave the house, even though he's 30 years old. And to keep him inside the apartment, Bubby's mother tells him stories about if he goes outside without a gas mask, the poisonous air in the outside world's going to kill him, so he's going to be safe inside this apartment. So straight away we know that there's something really wrong with the mother. And because of the fact that Bubby can't go outside, he has developed these really bad sort of social problems. He doesn't have any life skills, and he doesn't know what's on the outside of these walls of this apartment. So his only companion is this cat. Now, he treats this cat pretty poorly. So if you're a cat lover, or an animal lover in general, you'll find that little bit disturbing because the cat's kept in this cage and it's just treated really bad. But at the same time, you kind of find some of it funny, which is really sort of twisted. But anyway, so Bubby is the only one inside this apartment apart from the cat, but the only human inside this apartment apart from his mum. And his mum nicknamed him Bad Boy Bubby because when he's a bad boy, she starts hitting him around and saying he's a bad boy. So he is greatly mistreated. And to make it even worse, and this is probably one of the most disturbing things about this film, the mother has sex with Bubby on a regular basis. So there's a lot of incest going on, and it's just really disgusting. This old woman, the old pervert, she's enjoying it, and Bubby doesn't know any better. But yeah, she's using Bubby as pretty much not only her son, but a sex slave. So if you're easily offended, this one will definitely, offend you. So anyway, things are going at a normal sort of routine for Bubby, and then Bubby's long-lost father comes back home. He wants a second chance with Bubby's mother. Now, this guy's an alcoholic priest, so he spends much of his time being drunk, shouting out insults to Bubby. And certain events lead to Bubby having to go on his own outside the apartment. And he's introduced, I'm not going to give away what happens, but he's introduced to the world on his own. He's got no idea how to survive. And he goes out, he meets these new people. He's very weird. As I said, he's got no social skills, no people skills, no life sort of skills. So he's really struggling to make an impact on the outside world and create a life for himself. But as a result of this, it's it's a lot of things. It's depressing, it's uplifting, it's very disturbing, and at the same time it's very funny. So they've blended in a lot of things together to make this a very unique sort of experience. Now, that's as far as I go with the story. There is a lot to this story. It doesn't really follow one proper plot. It's kind of a lot of things that happen, so I'm not going to give away anything else. Now, as I said, I hadn't seen this. I don't know why I didn't see it earlier, but I wish I did because I really, really like this film. It is a very, very disturbing film. Now, as I said, there's a lot of incest, and a lot of what Bubby does on the outside world will disturb. Now, he pretty much goes around feeling up any female that he can see because he doesn't know any better. And he always compares ladies' breasts to his mum's. And if the ladies haven't got bigger breasts than his mum, he pretty much declines and just ignores them. So he's a really messed up character, but at the same time it's really funny. So you'll get things in this film that you shouldn't be laughing at, but you will because of the way it's done. And this is a brilliantly directed film. It's kind of an arty kind of feel to it. Like the outside world isn't quite realistic. It's kind of like you're in a surreal sort of environment. The people on the outside don't quite behave the way that they realistically would, and that creates a really sort of unique feel to the whole film. It really does feel like an artistic sort of piece. As I said, it's set in a kind of surreal world that isn't really. It's like you're not quite dreaming, but it just doesn't seem like the world is entirely there, if you know what I mean. It's just a fantasy kind of feel to it, but that suits the movie absolutely perfectly. Now, don't worry, it's not gonna ruin the film, the fact that it's a little bit surreal. It's a very subtle kind of surreal, so if you're into the different kind of films, this is definitely one for you. Now, the acting was absolutely fantastic. Nicholas Hope, who played Bubby, did an outstanding job. Now, Bubby, as I said, doesn't have any development in his personality. He doesn't have a wide range of vocabulary, so the words he uses are pretty much what he memorizes from what his dad and his mother used to say to him. So that creates a really funny sort of environment as well. The ending, a lot of people criticize the ending. Personally, while the ending was a little bit corny, I thought it suited the film absolutely perfectly. I wouldn't have it ended any other way. It's just the ending matched the film in so many ways that I thought it was absolutely perfect. And while I don't really like those kind of endings for this film, as I said, I wouldn't have it any other way. So I love pretty much everything about this movie. There is a lot of swearing, so if you're easily offended, they've got a lot of F words, a lot of C words, so stay away from it if you're offended by offensive language. And the sex scenes are quite explicit. I mean, there's no penetration shots or anything. It's not a porno, but it is. You do get to see full frontal male and female nudity, and most of the female nudity is of old, overweight people. So it's not very arousing at all. It is just more disturbing than it is arousing, as I said. So a lot of impact in this film. It does definitely deserve its R18 rating. This, I would say, it's an extreme film because of the content in it. It's just so disturbing. The violence isn't there. I can't really recall any violent sort of scenes. At the start, there is a very disturbing scene that happens just before Bubby leaves. But at the same time, as I said, I kind of found it funny. And I felt bad that I found it funny because, I don't know, it was just the way it was directed. It was just really, really well directed. This is an absolute Australian classic. I would highly recommend it. But just be careful. There are some very awkward and uncomfortable scenes in this film that will shock, and, it will offend some people. But it basically is a film about growing up and people not fitting in. And while it is a disturbing film, underneath it is a very uplifting and powerful film, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely brilliant. If you want something that will definitely make you think, this is definitely one for you. There are so many layers to this film. It's not only, you can take it for face value and just say, okay, this is just a disturbing sick film. I'll keep it in my disturbing sick collection. But then it can also double as a very touching, emotional film because it is a film about growing up, fitting in, people's opinions on people who are a little bit weird, and just your everyday life. And that's what I liked about it so much. It just has such an impact on so many levels. So, and once again, it's Australian, so you can't go wrong with that. So that's my review of Bad Boy Bubby. Very, very good film. Highly recommended, especially for you guys who are into your more extreme sort of films. So that's my review. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you later.